what's that word the kids use? Is it Falcon Punch? Essentially, he sort of repeated the attack combination, and he anticipated that Reiner would follow through with the pattern. I expected to counter him again, but this time he was prepared. He basically slipped underneath, dove forwards, and went for a takedown. Very good. You go to grappling when you think that the difference between your grappling and their grappling is going to be less than your striking and their striking. Hey folks, it's Solomon Lee here. How are you doing? Now, today we have a special treat. We're going to be reviewing one of the epic fight scenes from Attack on Titan. And I know, before you start, ramming in the comments, there's a lot of epic fight scenes in Attack on Titan. That's what makes the show so good. So, today we're going to be looking at a particularly juicy one, I'm told. It is Eren the Attack Titan versus Reiner, or Reiner? The Armored Titan, essentially, the super buff one, the one I identify the most with, if we're being honest. But alright, let's have a look and see what we've got.
Damn you! You traitors!
We have to keep in mind that this is a fight between titans in anime, and while I'm trying to be grounded and as realistic as possible, I think we need to suspend some belief. For instance, when people are falling down, most people aren't really, concerned about punching someone else. Most of us don't have the option to transform into kaijus, in the process. But essentially, I want to mention that the downwards fall is actually going to be helping any strikes, downward strikes. Sometimes it's known as a chopping sort of punch, chopping right, or what's that word the kids use? Is it Falcon Punch? Superman Punch? Something like that. But anyway, it's some sort of downwards punch, and you're putting your weight behind the fist, like the punch itself, which is always a good thing when it comes to power punches. The more weight you put behind it, the more you can drive through, really do your damage, make your marks count. People wouldn't normally be concerned about punching someone as they're falling through midair, but if you were going to do it, that's how you do it. You want to be on top.
I'd have given anything in the world to be half as strong as you. You are my hero.
Something to consider is that Eren's emotional state is currently very high. He's definitely driven by a lot of his emotions. I think it's betrayal, hurt, maybe shock. Could also be vengeance, I think, but outrage, I think that's right, moral outrage. But his emotional state's going to actually play a big part in this fight. Most fights actually involve your emotional state on an integral level. So part of the martial arts training any martial arts, any combat sports training, is being able to harness your emotions and keep yourself under control. You get a lot of guys, particularly in the MMA, like combat sports field, who like really delving into their emotions. And that's one way of harnessing it. It's better than repressing it. But ultimately, you want to learn how to control yourself in the process.
He barely flinched when Eren hit him. And my blades don't even make a dent! He's not like Annie. His armor's head to toe.
You should be erased. Trash like you can't be allowed to exist. What's going through your head? You disgust me. Just thinking about your face makes my insides shine. You make me want to puke. You're a pest. I'm a other side's pest. And pest after being exterminated.
Let's talk about that exchange now. Eren was clearly hyped up on emotions or adrenaline disgust, like you said, like moral outrage, betrayal, a lot of those feelings which are now fueling his actions. So it's very raw when you're up against someone who's fueled by emotions. And I say raw because if you've never felt, someone trying to actively hurt you when you're right in front of their face, it can be very daunting, and that's when we talk about the self-defense approaches when it comes to combat. But all right, let's have a look now at let's look at that scene, because essentially Eren, full of rage, threw out a punch, and our very calm, very beefy armored titan Reiner, he was expecting that. I believe he was expecting that, or at the very least he could anticipate it better because he was keeping his cool. He's very stoic right now. What he did then was basically a counter. So it's very, very common. You're basically moving in a manner which supersedes the blow coming towards you, and you're actually doing more damage as a result. There's this sort of rule of thumb where counters can do double damage because of the person sort of leaning into your colliding fist. But generally speaking, it's just simpler to say the counter does extra damage. Eren though is going strong. I can't tell if that's just his mouth opened wide or if the jaws come off, but he can heal from it. He'll walk it off.
Eren! Oh no! He's blinded by rage.
That's our Eren showing how good he is at thinking his feet. Essentially, he sort of repeated the attack combination, and he anticipated that Reiner would follow through with the pattern. I expected to counter him again, but this time he was prepared. He basically slipped underneath, dove forwards, and went for a takedown. Very good. I should note that takedown grappling is a great place if you aren't the superior striker and you want to sort of we say you should go to the ground or go to grappling when your striking is inferior to your opponents, but it's actually more correct to say you go to grappling when you think that the difference between your grappling and their grappling is going to be less than your striking and their striking. And in this case, Eren, I think, has instinctively or just first-hand witnessed that he's not confident enough to continue the match in a striking range. So he's going to try and pin down our opponent. The guy's very strong, very tough, and I'm sure he knows how to grapple as well, so let's see what happens next.
What a renegade humanity! Maybe next time don't teach me how to kick your ass!
That was a pretty stock standard movement. You basically you had them in the mount, they trying to escape, and as they do so, you get them into an armbar that you can see here. The aim being to sort of snap the arm from the elbow joint. It's also a good way of just controlling that part of the body. Grappling tends to favor the strong, and I say that, and what I mean by strong is it tends to favor those who are probably more confident in how much they can control the environment around them. And being strong helps, but you can also get the same results if you're very quick thinking, if you're just fast in general, or if your technique is extremely clean. In this case, we see Eren sort of latching on textbook perfectly. And apparently it's working, because I can see cracks in the armor.
It's working! I've got him locked! There's still a chance! I don't think so! You're not going anywhere! You guys are screwed for letting us see your true colors. You've backed yourselves into a corner.
He's fast.
Very nice. Reiner's decided to go on the offensive, take the initiative. So he went for that dive. He clearly felt confident in taking the fight head on. That's also his personality style. So your fight style generally does correlate with your personality. I think they go hand in hand. And in this case, Reiner decided to just go head on. Even without an arm, he still feels confident fighting against Eren. So Eren's in an interesting position. His grappling is probably better than striking. I don't know with the arm gone, that might be different now, but his grappling in this case is working better against Reiner. But at the same time, he can't stay on the ground like in grappling positions with Reiner. So basically, he's using grappling to get himself into advantageous positions. Very clever, as I was saying before. You know, it's one of those things which make him, in my opinion, the MMA Titan, that he can switch between his different stances.
I can't dodge this. Well, if I'm gonna get slammed, bring it! There we go! You're mine, you son of a bitch!
Pretty classic there. Caught him the guillotine. Great way to sort of pin him there. Do Titans need to breathe? That's what I'm thinking of, because it might as well just be a headlock.
Yeah! That's how it's done! Got him! Now it all boils down to strength! Damn it! Slippery! Make us up.
Nice cut!
Try fighting back, mine is a leg!
Let's see.
Good luck, pal.
So essentially, as I was saying before, Reiner is probably better in prolonged, engaged grappling. And in this case, even though Eren's trying to hold him down in the guillotine, the guy's still standing up, and that happens. I get folks putting me in guillotines, but if it's not clean enough, or it's simply a matter of me being a lot stronger, they can't actually go for the finish. I can brace myself, and I'm standing up in the same way he's doing it here. I wouldn't be able to do that if my hamstring got cut. So kudos to Mikasa. She's playing excellent support right now. She knows where she's needed, and she's not putting herself in too reckless of a position, so Eren can actually focus on the fight and not on her.
Above you! Look out!
That probably has to be one of the most nightmare-inducing images you can have. A giant skull sort of just falling on you, while you're pinned on the ground. That's pretty horrific if you think about it. We'll try not to. Yeah, essentially, the fight between these two, it's essentially what you'd get with two opponents who know each other pretty well. I'm glad that they didn't do that thing where they devolved into the whole chess fight scenes, where it's like, I know he's going to do this, so I'm going to anticipate with that, and I know that this is coming up, so he must be preparing to use that move, which is great. But the fact is, in real fights, most of the time, people are just going by your muscle memory, your training. In this case, and in many cases, whatever emotions are fueling you at the time. There's a few comments I wanted to make, and one of them was about the Armored Titan. I would think of it as a guy who's got really conditioned skin. It's he's not going to be resisting, like chainsaws or anything, but the fact is, really tough skin acts like an extra layer of protection, in addition to hard, tough muscles. He's pretty fast too. Like, you saw that dash he had, and I think Mikasa was the one who said, "My goodness, he's fast." The armor doesn't seem like it's very heavy, but at the same time, it also seems like it's kind of brittle. So I'm guessing it's some sort of calcium bone armor, like plating, essentially. Like the other issue was with the armor. The other take about the armor was: should we treat this as someone who's just got very conditioned skin, or do we count this as someone who's wearing, you know, like maybe an attack bodysuit, or even I dare say medieval armor? And the latter would drastically change how I rate their fighting, because if you're wearing full armor, you're going to be slower. There's going to be other techniques to use, but in this case, Eren handled himself pretty well. He basically did everything you would assume is smart when it comes to fighting someone wearing armor. Eren wasn't going for body shots or aiming for areas that were padded. He was going for the head, because, you know, the recoil and the jolt actually still carries through, even if you're wearing armor. And of course, we've got the fact that Mikasa was trying her best to go through, but clearly couldn't make it cut through the armor. Hence, she was attacking, you know, the more vulnerable fleshy parts, such as the hamstring that we saw from before. This was essentially what you'd get from experienced, seasoned veterans who are fighting. Admittedly, if you watch the same action take place replayed with humans, it wouldn't be as cool, even because first of all, you have to take away the death-inviting stunts like falling off, you know, a cliffside or falling off a building ledge. But at the same time, you've also got to assume that arms aren't going to be sort of torn off; they're going to be snapped, but then just hanging limply by. If that was with a real opponent, even if they're very tough, you know, people still feel a lot of pain. You get dislocations, breakages. So that could have been a potential spot to attack. That's all, folks. I hope we can see you for the next one. Take care. Be safe. Yeah, that's it. It's okay.
Hey Solomon,
Yes?
what's the best Titan in Attack of Titan? On Titan.
Oh, I was going to say Prometheus was the best Titan. What Titan is Levi?
He's the Aquaman.
Yeah, I want the Ackerman Titan. I think that's the best one. Because Levi kills Titans, right? So, yeah. But if not him, then the Beast Titan. Because I like King Kong.